video all about some of the herbal support that I like to use for healing and helping and supporting the digestive system, especially through any kind of acute situation, such as food poisoning, which is what I am currently getting over. So all day yesterday was a really horrible day for me, and then today I am still recovering, but I'm reaching for things that are just, to me, automatic at this point, because I know how effective and wonderful these things have been in my own life. And so I thought there's a lot of people out there who don't know some of these just very safe and simple things that are very effective for healing and helping the digestive tract, and I wanted to get that information out there. I actually do have quite a lot of experience in using herbs for the digestive tract, and maybe in another video I will get into some of the issues that I have had and helped with herbs. But for now, I'm just going to show you exactly what I'm doing. So first off, we're going to put together a tea that I'm going to brew. And then while that's brewing, I will talk to you about some of the other herbs that you can use, maybe a little faster than a tea. Sometimes you have like a situation where you want help right now, and waiting, 40 minutes for a tea to brew is not going to be the thing for you. So we'll go ahead and get right into that, but let's go ahead and go over this tea. So these are the herbs that I am currently putting into my digestive aid tea. And so I will go ahead and talk about these briefly. This is Calendula, which I picked from my own garden. It is just picked and dried. This is Oatstraw, which is from Mountain Rose Herbs. Yarrow leaf and flower, also from Mountain Rose Herbs. And then Stevia Leaf. And I'll go ahead and give a brief overview of each of these herbs and why I'm putting them into the tea. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about these herbs. And I also want to mention specifically, because I'm doing this for helping to support myself through getting over food poisoning, which involved a ton of awful cramping and just upset. Like, my digestion was extremely stimulated yesterday, the whole system, trying to get everything out. So I am not personally including anything really stimulating in any of this stuff, although of course ginger and cinnamon, things like that, are very classic digestive aids and helpers. Like I said, for me personally in this situation, I'm not going to be using those because those are more stimulating herbs, and I am trying to soothe and give my digestion a little bit of a break. And so I'm not going to be using anything like that. But that's just what I wanted to mention. So obviously you can make your own blends, you can read and come up with your own things, and a lot of times these things end up getting tailored because they are very situational. And so that is definitely something to keep in mind, especially when you're looking into herbal medicine and herbal modes of healing, that it's not like this cut and dry, a pill for every ill. The plants have their own beautiful individual workings, and learning what those are and working with them is actually one of the greatest, one of the greatest gifts, I think, of herbalism. And then sort of, figuring out what is going to help the most. And then obviously it's what you have access to. One thing too I want to mention is chamomile is also just a very classic, beautiful healer. It's carminative, meaning it helps with gas, and it is soothing. So if you do really well with chamomile, it's very relaxing too. Lemon balm comes to mind as well. But if you do well with chamomile, I would say chamomile would be a great thing to add to a blend like this, like a soothing and relaxing blend that's also healing. I personally do not use chamomile. This is, again, just because the plants affect everybody differently. For the vast majority of people who also are not allergic to chamomile, some people are actually allergic to chamomile. So like if you have ragweed allergies, you may want to start slow with chamomile if you haven't used it before. But for most people, chamomile is just kind of a gentle nervine, meaning it like relaxes them and makes them feel good. For me, I take chamomile and it's like instant coma. And I don't mean like a literal coma, of course. I just mean like instant, deep, long sleep. I am gone as soon as I take any chamomile. I don't know why it affects me so strongly. It's just something to do with my constitution, with my makeup, my genetics, whatever. One of my sons is actually the exact same way. If he takes any chamomile, even smells it, I'm the same way. Like if I even smell it, I'm just like, because it's just, That's just the way that it works on me. But for most people it doesn't. So chamomile might be a great choice for something like this, but that's the reason that I personally don't use it. And a lot of this is just stuff that, you know, you learn kind of trial and error, and you begin to learn your own body and your own reaction to the herbs. And that is the best thing that you could possibly do. You can watch all of the people you want on YouTube, hopefully me a lot of the time, but ultimately it is your own personal experience and your own kind of tactile gathering of knowledge that is going to serve you best as you move forward in your own life. But okay, let's go ahead and get started talking about the actual herbs. So first up we have Calendula, which is possibly my favorite of all. It is so sunny and wonderful. This is calendula that came out of my own garden. So I just basically pick it and dry it. And this is just deeply healing. It's traditionally used as an external skin remedy for wounds. Most of your herbal neosporin type preparations will use a base of calendula oil, or, you know, medicinal oil made from calendula. And so this is great for healing abrasions and cuts and repairing tissue. But the thing that makes it so wonderful for use externally in your body is also what makes it so wonderful for use internally for the digestive tract, because it does the exact same things. It's healing, it's a vulnerary, it heals wounds, it's anti-inflammatory, it heals tissue, it aids in tissue regeneration, it heals abrasions in the digestive tract, and it's just absolutely wonderful. It is also antimicrobial in its own right, and it is just fantastic. So it is definitely something that I want going into my teas for at least the next couple days. I'll be drinking a lot of calendula to help heal and restore the lining of my digestion after what I have just been through. So next we have Oatstraw. It's an absolute wonderful little unsung hero of a plant, I think. It's so gently nourishing and just like nurturing and beautifully soothing in its action, and just so gentle that I think a lot of times people underestimate how powerful it can be. But this is a kind healer. This is a wonderful thing that's going to nourish you from the inside out and like rebuild you. It helps to support nerve damage. There's even some kind of incredible stories of people completely healing nerve damage that was unhealable with using Oatstraw long term, usually also in conjunction with St. John's wort and stuff, but that's like another whole thing. Do your own research on that, and then also don't let it, of course, replace medical advice. I'm just letting you know that that is a possible use of it. But for the digestive tract, it is also antispasmodic. It's a very gently antispasmodic herb, and it is so rich in minerals. It's also actually great for muscle recovery, which is funny. This is something that we use in blends for like Mr. Vegan Prepper for all of his training. I put Oatstraw into his tea, his recovery blends, like for his marathon training and whatnot, because this is also really helpful for, yeah, muscle repair and all of that. So it's a really great one to have, but for now it's going to be antispasmodic and soothing and nourishing to my digestive tract. And then last but not least of the actual medicinal herbs for the blend, I have Yarrow leaf and flower. And this is just a really great one too. It is cooling. It helps to relieve nausea in and of itself, but it also is a really great fighter of bacterial infection. And so if there's any kind of vestiges left over of anything going on, this is going to be something that will support the body fighting any kind of, you know, leftover baddies that might be in the digestive tract if you've been dealing with specifically with something like a food poisoning like me. So that's why the Yarrow is going in there. And then the final actual last herb is stevia. This is just stevia leaf. It is cut and then dried, just like any of these are, like my calendula. There's no additional processing here. This is about a teaspoon, and when I add it to a quart jar and let it brew for about 40 minutes, it will add a beautiful sweetness to the tea without having to add sugar. Stevia is not, it doesn't spike blood sugar or anything like that. In fact, there's a lot of things that show that it is supportive and helpful to the pancreas. But there's like research is new on stevia, but I just thought I'd mention that. But anyway, it is a sweetener that actually helps your pancreas. I mean, come on, whose idea does that sound like, really? But I add it for sweetness because I do like my teas very sweet, but I don't want to put sugar in. So stevia is my go-to. All right, now while the tea is brewing, let's go ahead and talk about a few things that you could do to give yourself a little bit more immediate relief. And for me, especially for any kind of gas pain or stomach cramping, number one has got to be Lavender Essential Oil. This works amazingly fast. You just take it, take off the top, obviously, but I'm not doing it for real, but I'm just gonna show you. And then just sort of go like that and get just a little bit, rub on your tummy, get a little bit more and rub maybe a little lower onto your intestines. Maybe do it 2 or 3 times if you feel like you need more, but it's amazing how quickly this will combat stomach cramping or even menstrual cramping, actually, and gas pain. Now, as a note for that, I believe because obviously this is natural, it's not just masking symptoms, I think the primary way that lavender helps you relieve your gas is by getting rid of it for you. So if you're having gas, say at work or in a group of people, and you put it on, it's not something that's just going to make it go away. It's going to make it come out. So you might surprise yourself with how big your belch is or how big the stuff coming out the other end is. Just as an FYI, so kind of as a cautionary tale on that one. Next, however, I'm going to talk about a couple of herbs, like whole plant foods that you can chew on to give yourself a little bit of relief from nausea, gas, and all of that. A very classic kind of Ayurvedic remedy is fennel seeds. And now this is something that is used actually even to this day. People like to take just fennel seeds and just chew them and eat them. And then that helps to get your digestion going, but also to soothe nausea. And it's helpful for your digestion in general. It's carminative, meaning it helps with gas. And also if you take about a teaspoon of this and brew it for 10 minutes in a cup of water, it will help relieve cramps and indigestion. So this is a great one to have on hand, but like I said, this is more immediate. You can just chew it. Now, this is not my favorite one to chew. It definitely ends up having a bitterness to it, but that is actually a good thing. Bitterness is a taste in our mouths that stimulates digestion or that gets digestive juices flowing. And so I think a lot of the digestive problems that people have today, and many herbalists agree, is just the lack of bitter in our diet. Like it's just that little bit of a bitter taste, and it makes your saliva go, and it just helps you digest your food better. But this is a great remedy. Now, if you don't like taking it plain, another great way to take it is in its candy form, which might be what you are familiar with. If you end up leaving an Indian restaurant, for instance, a lot of times they'll have a little bowl of candied fennel, and that's what it is. It's just fennel that's coated with a sugary, colorful coating. Now, this is definitely not the best way to do it because it's got sugar and it's got like red dye number 40 and stuff in it, so it's not like the best. However, this is something that my husband especially and like my kids really love, and it's amazing. You just have like a little teaspoon of it, and it's like it satisfies a sweet tooth without it having to be a huge thing. And so that's why I keep it around, even though it's not the most natural thing. It kind of helps not eat other stuff that I think would be worse. Maybe it might be more natural, but it would be worse because it's more of a quantity of the natural thing, if that makes sense. Because sugar is still sugar, you know. It's not like, you know, when you have a sweet dessert, no matter how natural it is, it's still sugar. But the one that I get is Ronnie Fennel candy. I find it in my local international market. So that's just the one that I grab. Also, you may have seen fennel in your Indian restaurants, like in a dish that's just like sugared fennel. And then actually sometimes it'll even have almond slices in it. So anyway, yes, it's just a classic after you eat fennel to help with digestion. But even before you eat, or just in general, sometimes people even use it just like as a breath freshener. They carry it like in their purse just to eat. And so that works. However, for herbs that you chew for digestive health, my personal preference is cardamom. And now this is cardamom that I actually just took out of my yard right before I started filming. And in the intro video where you see the cart, you see like that snarly plant and then the yellow calendula flowers. The little snarly plant is actually bolted cilantro, which puts off coriander seed. And then depending on where you are in the world, if you're in the UK and Europe and then Australia as well, a lot of times, or actually not a lot of times, they do refer to cilantro as coriander. So it can be confusing because here in the US, we call the leaf of the plant cilantro, but coriander is the seed, not the leaf. So a lot of times, I believe like in the UK and Europe and Australia, they will call it coriander seed and specify, but it's from the same plant. And this is actually really wonderful to chew. It's like a little kick of flavor and I really love it. This is definitely my preference. It is also a carminative, helps with gas and all of that. And this ends up being actually one of Sage's favorite snacks outside. Like when we go outside just to play, she runs up to the like the bolted, dried up cilantro plants and she grabs little balls of coriander off and eats them. And it's really cute. But that's another one that you can chew on that gives you some pretty good immediate relief. Now, this one is going to be really controversial. And I fully recognize that. And I am doing it anyway because it's what I do. For very specific, extremely acute situations, like what I have been going through with my food poisoning and getting over that. So in general, it is not good to consume essential oils internally. However, like I said, for kind of an extreme case, which I believe food poisoning is, I will occasionally take peppermint essential oil internally. There's reasons for that. I don't always want to brew myself a bunch of peppermint tea. It's kind of diuretic. I don't necessarily want to be on the pot any more than I'm already going to be on the pot. Like if it's like a food poisoning type issue, there's all kinds of reasons that I might not want to do the tea itself. And I'd rather do essential oil. And so I have a peppermint essential oil and I put 2 drops into an entire 40-ounce jug of water. There's just a little bit left and I'll just do it like once in a day. And now for me, this gives almost immediate relief of any kind of nausea, gas, even stomach cramping type systems or type symptoms, to take a drink and let it go through. So I'm not drinking this water like my drink. I'm drinking it like if I need an immediate assist for, you know, some issue that might be going on. So for instance, like in between the last take and this one, I actually drove my son to school for a rehearsal. And I'm still kind of getting over things. Like I said, I have cramping. Like I got into the car and I started cramping up. And so I took a little bit of my peppermint water and it started helping me. And so this is kind of really like an extreme thing to do as far as like a natural healing goes. But for me, I personally still would rather have 2 drops in this entire thing than like a bunch of Pepto-Bismol or Motrin or not Motrin. This is funny. I don't even like know the names of the medicines anymore. like whatever you like, the green one that you would take for your digestive issues, I'd rather have like a couple drops of essential oil. And again, this is not like every single day. Don't be, you know, wasting all of this plant matter every single day. It takes a huge amount of plant to make an essential oil, so it needs to be respected. But like I said, for stuff that's just like really acute, sometimes every now and then, I feel like it's a better choice than an over-the-counter medication. And so that is why I do it. That's how I do it. I know somebody probably is going to light me up in the comments for that. But please be aware, of course, that I am not advocating, you know, like a daily constant ingestion of essential oils like some people do. Like I said, this is kind of very rare to treat or to help like a kind of very specific acute situation. And then last but not least, I will discuss slippery elm bark. It's an absolutely wonderful little plant. Slippery elm is actually kind of a miracle for digestion. I probably should have talked about it first. There's probably people who cut off already and, you know, aren't getting to have this information. But slippery elm bark is incredible. It is just an absolutely wonderful thing. I have so many notes on it. I'm not going to try to pretend that I'm talking from memory. I'm going to like start kind of reading off my notes a little bit. It's healing and mucilaginous, so that means it's slimy, but the sliminess, so mucilaginous is the nice way of saying that it's slimy. But that actually is what makes it so soothing, if you can imagine. It lubricates your digestive system. It will help bind loose stools, so it helps make the bowel movements more solid if you're dealing with diarrhea. But then that lubrication of the digestion tract also will help for constipated type hard stools to pass more easily. So it's helpful for diarrhea or constipation. It helps soothe and heal hemorrhoids from the inside out. It's that soothing, again, mucilaginous quality. And so I'm mentioning that not necessarily because the food poisoning is specific to hemorrhoids, but mainly because, you know, like if you have food poisoning and you're on the pot constantly and you are constantly doing loose stools and then cleaning yourself afterwards, things get a little sore down there. So I'm just mentioning that because the slippery elm can come through, and then as it passes through your system, it actually helps heal some of that as well. It reduces inflammation, and so it actually soothes inflamed tissue and eases pain. And so that's another reason that it's so great specifically for digestive upset. And then it, like I kind of already discussed, it restores healthy bowel movements. And so slippery elm is fantastic, and it's also really rich in minerals. And it's a great food. Richa Chek was talking about in his book, it's a great food for convalescents, like for people who can't seem to put anything else in their body, to make a gruel with slippery elm and feed it to them, and then it'll give them some nourishment. And then because it's so soothing, it actually can calm stomachs and help you keep food down when you normally wouldn't be able to. So for me personally, the way that I like to take it is to take about a tablespoon of it and mix it into maybe a half cup of applesauce. And I'll eat that just as a soothing digestive thing before I eat my lunch. Actually, that's my plan. So I haven't had lunch yet, and my plan is to start with the slippery elm and the applesauce to sort of soothe everything and get everything nice and happy before I, attempt to eat, very light lunch, like a soup or something. So that's kind of how I like to use it. And then also it does provide some, somewhat immediate relief to any kind of general nausea, general issues with the digestive tract and tummy issues and stuff. I feed it to Sage, and she really likes it too. One thing I would like to mention though also about slippery elm is the fact that depending on your supplier, you have to be really careful about your supplier. I personally really trust Mountain Rose Herbs. I believe that they are a company that has great ethics, and so I order from them all of the time. Now recently they've been exploding. They've been growing a lot, and so I really do hope that they maintain their ethics through their growth. That's the only, if I can say that, of course I can say it, but it does seem to happen, like a lot of small companies as they get bigger, sometimes you start seeing issues. But I really hope that they will maintain all of their integrity and ethics even as they grow and still responsibly and beautifully source their products. I don't have any reason to believe that they are not, or don't, or won't, or whatever. That's just my thought. I probably shouldn't have said, but anyway, I still order from them, and I still will order from them until I find a reason not to. So I do trust them, so I get my slippery elm from Mountain Rose Herbs because I trust the sourcing. But it is possible for slippery elm powder or slippery elm bark especially to be over harvested into harm trees, and then it takes forever for that to grow back. And so that is definitely one to keep in mind, that you source it very well and source it ethically. And for me, like I said, I really do trust Mountain Rose Herbs. I know that they're not the only good supplier out there. That's just the one that I use. And so if you have any other suppliers that you really trust, please let me know in the comments down below. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and mix up the slippery elm and get to eating a lunch, and probably head out and give a little bit of it to Sage because she likes it, and it's just a good general nourishing thing to have. So hopefully you enjoyed that and found it helpful at all. If you have anything to add, or you'd like to, I don't know, ask a question, or if you want to even like correct something I said, or anything like that, just let me know down in the comments below. I'd love for the comments even also to become a great source of information for people who might be looking for particular help for the digestive tract. And I guess that's it. So as always, I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all the best digestive health. All right, see you later. Bye. You see this? I just absolutely love, especially how the calendula just turns right back into flowers. And this is just my calendula. I don't notice that happens with the stuff I buy. But yeah, it just turns right back into flowers. Look, it's like a whole flower in there. Oh, so beautiful. I can't wait to drink this. Well, actually, here, let me go ahead and take a little sip. Oh yeah, oh my goodness, that is so good. Okay. Digestive health and happiness to me and to all of you. Bye.